Hello and welcome to the session on Yashpal Committee report. Every nation and society predetermines its educational goals according to its needs. The general objectives of teaching include knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis and evaluation. In order to ascertain these objectives precisely, a reference to curriculum becomes necessary. The National Policy on Education or NEP 1986 proposed the National Curriculum Framework as a means of evolving a national system of education, recommending a core component derived from the vision of national development enshrined in the Constitution. It is hard to reconcile the rigorous academic regime that is imposed on children from an early age. This includes problems like heavy syllabi, poorly produced textbooks, etc. Right from early childhood, many children are made to slog through homework, tuition and coaching classes of different kinds. Leisure has become the highly scarce thing in a child's life. The people who are involved in the syllabi and textbook preparation add a lot, thinking that the children of today have to catch up with the developed countries of the world. So, they add new topics, new concepts and information to the syllabi and textbooks. The experts in different subjects, especially university level teachers and people of high stature involved in the research world, are those who are involved in the revision of the syllabi. It is possible that curriculum development might suffer due to personal limitations, faith, beliefs and prejudices of experts who are involved in it. Their involvement in the writing or revision of textbooks is indeed appreciable, but they have little exposure to children in classroom situations. In the same way, the textual contents might show some shortcomings such as brief explanations, lack of clarity and elaboration due to the textbook writers' lack of knowledge and other limitations. There are many processes in developing any curriculum. They are defining its objectives, developing the curriculum in the light of the objectives, developing the curriculum, preparing textbooks according to the curriculum, teaching in classroom condition, verifying teaching effectiveness, etc. The distance between the child's everyday life and the content of the textbook he is learning accentuates the transformation of knowledge into a load. Repetition of concepts and information in the books also leads to boredom and a sense of load. Even the teachers find it difficult to cover the syllabus of the curriculum and find little time to organize activities in the classrooms. This kind of routine does not take care of the philosophical and social aims of education. Thus, opportunities for children to carry out experiments, excursions or any kind of observations are scarce. Moreover, majority of the teachers neither know nor have the necessary skills to realize the goals of education. Another problem with the system of education is that there is no established procedure or official forum to mobilize teacher vigilance and participation in curriculum improvement. There are problems with our examination system also. The major well understood defect of the examination system is that it focuses on children's ability to reproduce information and exclude their ability to apply concepts and information on unfamiliar and new problems. What is to be understood is that children's education ought to be based on concept formation and growth of capacity for theory building rather than possession of vast amounts of information. There have been several committees in the past set up extensively to take care of the concern regarding academic burden on students and unsatisfactory quality of learning in schools. Some of them include the Ishwarbhai Patel Review Committee 1977, National Council of Education Research and Training NCERT Working Group 1984 and National Policy on Education NPE Review Committee 1990. All these committees made several recommendations to reduce the academic burden on students. The main factor that is looked into is the curriculum of the students. The curriculum development agencies consider the recommendations made by the committees while revising the curriculum. But when a new curriculum is introduced, the problem, instead of being mitigated, becomes more acute. B.Sc Committee. With a view to have a fresh look on the problems of education, particularly with regard to the problem of academic burden on students, the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India set up a National Advisory Committee on March 1, 1992. The committee was set up under the chairmanship of Professor Yashpal, the former chairman of the University Grants Commission or UGC. The 24 members committee included the chairpersons of UGC, AICTE and NAC, current and former vice chancellors of publicly funded universities, directors of IIT Madras, IIM Bangalore and NCERT, various economists and bureaucrats from the Planning Commission, the Finance, Education and other ministries. The committee decided not to confine its work to the CBSE or NCERT syllabi, but to take into account the textbooks that are used in different states and union territories in the country. The committee decided to base its recommendations on the data obtained through perception surveys and work of agencies or organizations doing innovative programs related to education. Meetings were held with the faculty members of NCERT, followed by meetings with teachers and principals working in different states, namely Delhi, Thiruvananthapuram, Pune and Calcutta. Meetings were also held with voluntary organizations, syllabus and textbook writers, private publishers and chairpersons of Board of Secondary Education. A part of the committee's recommendations is the result of the views and suggestions invited from the students, teachers, parents and general public through advertisements in the newspapers and special announcements by All India Radio and Doordarshan. The committee received more than 600 memoranda, letters and write-ups from students, teachers, parents and professionals interested in children's education. Terms of reference of the committee. The main terms of reference of the committee was to advise on the ways and means to reduce the load on school students at all levels, particularly the young students, while improving quality of learning, including capability for lifelong self-learning and skill formulation. The report of B.Sc Committee was submitted to the Ministry on July 15, 1993. The report was entitled Learning Without Burden. On receipt of the report of the National Advisory Committee, a decision was taken by the Ministry to set up a group under the chairmanship of Sri Y. N. Chaturvedi, Additional Secretary, Department of Education of Ministry, to examine the recommendations of the B.Sc Committee and give its view on the feasibility of implementing them. This group was formed on August 25, 1993. The group held two meetings on 23rd and 25th September 1993, in which it examined the recommendations of the B.Sc Committee. The group, with considerable appreciation, has observed the report of the committee about the load of curriculum on school students. The general observations on the B.Sc Committee made by the group are discussed later in the fourth module. Recommendations of the B.Sc Committee. The B.Sc Committee came to the conclusion that the problem of overload on school students is not only because of over-enthusiastic curriculum designers, poorly equipped teachers, school administrators, book publishers, district, state or central education authorities, but there are deeper problems beyond that. A major problem is connected with the notion of knowledge explosion. The following are the recommendations of the B.Sc Committee. It is usual that most of the organizations and departments conduct competitions for the students in the district and state levels in various fields. The school also conducts competitions like exhibitions, essay writing, elocution, etc. According to the committee, these kinds of competitions are unhealthy since it tends to single out people since they give a brief period of glory. Competitions where individual achievement is rewarded need to be discouraged since they deprive children of joyful learning according to the committee. Instead, group activities and competitions ought to be encouraged. The Yashpal committee recommended that the process of curriculum framing and the textbook preparation should be decentralized as to increase teachers' involvement in these tasks. All the schools should be encouraged to innovate in all aspects of curriculum, including choice of textbooks and other materials. It also recommended the idea of setting up education committees at village, block and district level to undertake planning and supervision of schools under their jurisdiction. Sufficient contingency amount not less than 10% of the total salary bill of the school should be placed at disposal of various issues like purchase of materials, repair, replacement of pedagogical equipment, etc. The committee suggested that the culture of writing textbooks should be changed. The teachers should be involved in the preparation of textbooks. They should be assisted by scientists and experts in various disciplines as consultants and not writers. The committee noted that majority of schools in the country are affiliated to the State Board of Education, while only a few are affiliated to the C.B.Sc or CEC-UGC. It is because the C.B.Sc curriculum is considered as a trendsetter. The state boards incorporate heavier curriculum for their children. Therefore, the committee recommended that jurisdiction of C.B.Sc should be restricted to Kendriya and Navodaya Vidyalayas, and all other schools should be affiliated to the respective state boards. Appropriate legislative and administrative methods should be adopted to regulate the opening and functioning of early childhood education institutions. Norms regarding accommodation, staff, apparatuses and play material should be laid out. It should be ensured that these institutions do not inflict heavy overdose of education in the form of formal reading and writing. The practice of holding tests and interviews for admission to preschools should be abolished. The norms for granting recognition to private schools should be made more stringent. The norms developed should be made uniformly applicable to all schools, including the state-run institutions. This will help in improving the quality of textbooks prepared by the school. The children should not be tortured by compelling them to carry heavy school bags every day. Textbooks should be treated as school property. There should be no need for children to purchase the books individually and carry them daily to homes. The nature of homework should be changed radically. In the primary classes, children should not be given any homework. In the upper primary and secondary classes, homework should be non-textual. The existing norm for teacher-pupil ratio, that is 1:40, should be enforced, and an attempt should be made to reduce this to 1:30 at least in the primary classes. The Yashpal committee recommended that more electronic media should be used for creation of a child-centered social ethos in the country. A regular television program called the Shiksha Darshan should be launched for students, teachers and parents. The B.Ed program should offer the possibility of specialization in secondary, elementary or nursery education. The duration of the program should either be 1 year after graduation or 3-4 years after higher secondary. The continuing education of teachers should be institutionalized. The organization of in-service education programs and other activities aimed at professional growth of teachers should be designed systematically. The public examinations taken at the end of class 10th or 12th should be reviewed. The prevailing text-based concept and quiz-type questioning should be replaced by concept-based questioning. This reform improves the quality of learning and save the children from the tyranny of memorization. The committee suggested that a project team with a number of subgroups in each state should be formed to examine the syllabi and textbooks for all schools. The subgroups should decide the following: the minimum number of topics required to be taught, the minimum number of concepts to be introduced within each topic, the total time needed by the teacher to teach these concepts, etc. The committee suggested that the mathematical curriculum should be reviewed. The tendency embedded in the syllabi and textbooks of primary mathematics to accelerate children's mathematical skills by teaching them mechanical rules at the expense of understanding and intelligent application should be discouraged. Language textbooks should adequately reflect the spoken idiom. Attempts should be made in future textbooks to give adequate representation to children's life experiences, imaginary stories and poems, and stories reflecting the lives of ordinary people in different parts of the country. The science syllabi and textbooks in primary classes should provide greater room for experimentation. The text should emphasize analytical reflection on real life situations. The syllabi of natural sciences throughout the secondary and senior secondary classes should be revised in such a manner to ensure that most of the topics included are actively linked to experiments or activities that can be performed by children and teachers. The curriculum of the classes 6th to 8th and 9th to 10 should include subjects that convey the philosophy and methodology of the functions of our socio-political and economic system. The repetitive nature of history syllabus should also be changed. The civics subject should be replaced by contemporary studies. Comments of the group on recommendations of the SPAL committee. The SPAL committee wanted to encourage group activities among the students. The group suggested that individual activities and competitions does not take away the joy of education, but instead motivates towards higher achievements. In the view of the group, the educational system should promote performance of the students both as individuals and as a member of the group. The group recommended that writing of textbooks should be assigned to the teachers in the schools and those who have developed professional expertise in the area. The people who are specialists in the field should be engaged as consultants to look into the content and presentation of subject matters of textbook to ensure its accuracy. The states which have distinct socio-cultural geographical zones should have different and parallel sets of textbooks with same learning objectives. The textbook preparation agencies should undertake systematic review of all textbooks in a time-bound manner to weed out unnecessary and trivial matter which have included in the textbooks. The group recommended that the language used in the textbooks in some classes are not difficult than the degree of difficulty designed for language competency for that particular class. Moreover, the teachers should be motivated to innovate to the fullest extent in regard to teaching methods and use of teaching materials. The group said that the choice of educational boards that the schools have was limited and could be exercised only with the approval of state government. The group felt that if a school in any part of the country has a choice of affiliating with any board, it should be generally good for education. The CBSE heavily relies on NCERT for developing their syllabi and preparing textbooks. The NCERT in turn operates within the national policy framework and on the basis of guidelines contained in the national curriculum framework. The NCERT rightly keeps the standard required for education, and if there exists any unnecessary material in these textbooks, it should be eliminated. The group also said that there is no adequate material on record to substantiate that the CBSE syllabi or NCERT textbooks are overloaded. The group also suggested that if affiliation to CBSE was good for the Kendriya Vidyalayas and Navodaya Vidyalayas, it could not be bad for the other schools also. The group agreed that there should not be any formal teaching of subjects in the preschool. With regard to the recommendation of the SPAL committee to consider the textbooks as school property and store them at school, the group feels that most of the schools in the country have no financial resources or storage capacities for such a system. Moreover, the group feels that for majority of school children, textbooks are the only source of reading, and if the recommendation of the SPAL committee is carried out, the children would be devoid the opportunity to refer textbooks at home. The group agrees with the higher teacher-people ratio in most of the schools in the country. But for this, the government will have to recruit a large number of extra teachers in the schools. This will incur more finance and could be done only over a period of time. The group recommended that the size of the class should not exceed 40. The group was of the view that greater use of electronic media will help in modernizing the educational system of the country. The recommendations of the SPAL committee for de-recognizing the B.Ed degree by correspondence course was problematic according to the group. The group recommended that the matter should be referred to the UGC and NCTE for appropriate decision. The group agreed with the committee's request for a concept-based questioning in public examinations. The group felt that the boards of the school education should emphasize continuous and comprehensive evaluation of education. The group suggests that at the time of curriculum renewal and preparation of textbooks, the designers should systematically check whether the textbooks could be covered within the instructional time available to the teachers. The group suggested that if there is an overload in the mathematics syllabi, it should be reviewed. The syllabi of mathematics and other subjects should be designed keeping in mind the existing standard and capacity of the students. Other recommendations of the group: a minimum age of admission to pre-primary classes and primary classes should be reconsidered and be raised by 1 year. The Kothari Commission of 1964-66 recommended 210 teaching days, but in reality it is 125 to 150 days. The syllabi are also on the basis of 210 days, which clearly means that there is overload for teachers as well as the students. It can also mean that either the syllabi is covered by the teachers in a hurried manner or a part of the syllabi is not covered. Effective action should be taken to increase the number of working days to 210. The classroom facilities in many schools should be taken care of. The facilities inevitably affect the quality of education. The professional bodies like the SCRT, textbook bureaus and Board of School Education, who are responsible for curriculum, textbooks and examinations, should be strengthened. Let me summarize the session. The general objectives of teaching include knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis and evaluation. In order to ascertain these objectives precisely, a reference to curriculum becomes necessary. It is hard to reconcile the rigorous academic regime that is imposed on children from an early age. This includes problems like heavy syllabi, poorly produced textbooks, etc. The people who are involved in the syllabi and textbook preparation think that the children of today have to catch up with the developed countries of the world. So, they add new topics, new concepts and information to the syllabi and textbooks. The experts in different subjects, especially university level teachers and people of high stature involved in the research world, are those who are involved in the revision of the syllabi. Their involvement in the writing or revision of textbooks is indeed appreciable, but they have little exposure to children in classroom situations. In the same way, the textual contents might show some shortcomings such as brief explanations, lack of clarity and elaboration due to the textbook's writer's lack of knowledge and other limitations. This kind of routine does not take care of the philosophical and social aims of education. There have been several committees in the past set up extensively to take care of the concern regarding academic burden on students and unsatisfactory quality of learning in schools. With a view to have a fresh look on the problems of education, particularly with regard to the problem of academic burden on students, the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, set up a National Advisory Committee on March 1st, 1992. The committee was called the SPAL Committee. The main terms of reference of the committee was to advise on the ways and means to reduce the load on school students at all levels, particularly the young students, while improving quality of learning including capability for lifelong self-learning and skill formulation. The various recommendations of the committee are elaborately discussed in the modules. Now, you can try to answer the questions given here. What was the purpose behind the formation of the Yashpal Committee of 1992? Explain the Yashpal Committee formation and list the members involved in it. What are the recommendations made by the committee to reduce the academic burden on students? For what purpose was a group set up under the chairmanship of Sri Y.N. Chaturvedi on receipt of the Yashpal Committee report? Compare the recommendations of the Yashpal Committee report with respect to the comments made by the group. References: Development of Education in India, written by S.P. Agarwal and J.C. Agarwal, published by Concept Publishing Company, New Delhi in the year 1997. Issues in Indian Education, written by M.L. Dhawan, published by Isha Books, New Delhi in the year 2005. International Perspectives on Early Childhood Education and Care, written by Georgeson and J. Paler, published by Prentice Hall of India Private Limited, New Delhi in the year 2013. Psychology in India, Volume 2, written by Girishwar Mishra, published by Dorling Kinsley India Private Limited, New Delhi in the year 2009. Thank you for watching this program. Have a nice day.